9.8 billion people. This is the future of our planet by 2050. India's population alone is expected to increase by over 270 million people. As the world's population continues to grow, people's energy needs become more demanding and complex. What if we could utilize the power of the sun to meet multifaceted power and water needs?
Our solution is a modular, scalable, and efficient rooftop system that captures, cleans, and heats water at a competitive cost. This system pays for itself within 5 years, representing an exciting investment opportunity for managers of larger buildings such as apartments, hospitals, and schools. First, rainwater is captured using a slanted slope that leads to a collector. Next, water is heated by reflecting sunlight onto vacuum-insulated tubes. As water is heated, a reflected parabola concentrates ultraviolet light and eliminates biological contaminants. Hot water is then stored in an insulated tank for later use. Smart technology facilitates interactions in the system, ensuring peak efficiency.
Our solution is intended to supplement existing systems, not replace them. When solar heating is unavailable, existing heating methods will fill in. When rainwater is unavailable, municipal water will be utilized. This leads to a more resilient and efficient system that reduces power usage, protects against grid failure, and shifts power production away from fossil fuels.
As the world grows and needs to become more demanding, energy efficiency is imperative to prepare for increased power consumption. CCH's innovative system accomplishes this, providing cleaner water and meeting energy needs in the developing world.
Hi, I'm James Ryan, Economics.
Kate Carter-Cram, Global Studies.
Mia Kloppenstein, Materials Engineering.
Grace Gola, Computer Science.
Riley McCready, Education.
Spencer McGoy, Electric Engineering.
And we're CCH Tech.
As populations continue to grow at an exponential rate, the demand for energy is also increasing. We wanted to create an innovative design that allowed these populations to meet that energy demand while also having a minimal impact on the environment. We chose India as our case study country due to the fact that their population is projected to grow by 273 million individuals between now and the year 2050.
Some other reasons why we chose India was because of their high rainfall, meaning that we can collect a lot of water over the course of the year. Additionally, they have 300 days of sun, meaning that there's a lot of time to heat that water. Their growing economy means that they're looking for different ways to increase their energy efficiency into the future.
So with these ideas in mind, we need to come up with a solution that is adaptable to meet the diverse needs of India, something that adds resiliency to the power system, something modular and simple so it's easily integratable, and something scalable for small and large-scale applications.
Our idea started as a community center that would take water from nearby rivers and then heat it for community use at a specific location. However, due to issues with implementation, we decided to go with a more modular approach where we put heating and a water collection and heating system on individual rooftops of buildings, but then we decided to also include a sanitation system, which led us to our final product, that being an integrated rooftop collection, cleaning, and heating system that used smart tech to reduce reliance on the grid as well as provide clean water.
So our system captures, cleans, and heats water, hence our name CCH. And so when it rains, we have this angled slate that directs water into our insulated glass tank here. And under our insulated glass tank, there's this parabolic reflector that directs UV light or UV radiation into the water, killing any waterborne illnesses. The third aspect of this is the heating, and this is done through vacuum solar water heaters, which are these pipes right here. In the next slide. If you take a cross-section of these pipes, you can see it on this diagram on the right. And so what's happening is, like, on the outside, there's these double wall glass tubes, which light can penetrate through. And under that, there's a broadband solar absorber, which this material absorbs a wide spectrum of light, and it can get extremely hot. And this all transfers into the most inner part of this tube, which is a copper pipe. And all of these connect into this insulated glass tank. And this, the heat that's transferred from the copper goes directly onto the water. And you can kind of see this on the diagram on the left, is that there's cold water going through the tank, and as the water travels through the tank, then it heats up, and it can go to the storage tank, which we have here, and to use for later uses.
So as we just spoke about, our primary goal for this project was to reduce energy consumption while meeting the goals of a developing populace by heating water with renewable energy. This renewable energy of the solar spectrum will help to diminish the amount of reliance on the grid. But the part I want to focus on right now is the efficient monitoring system that we have set up. With smart technology set up, we'd have IoT devices able to measure and alert users about temperature, pH, and water level, and would also be able to determine whether or not to switch over to municipal sources or not. It would also make things more efficient statistically in the long term.
And so a 100-liter system would save up to 1,500 kilowatt hours of electricity annually, which correlates over to saving the emission of 1.5 tons of carbon dioxide over the course of a year. Our target markets are concentrations of populations such as medium-density residential, hospitals, schools, and government buildings, buildings that have enough water use to justify the use of our system.
So our projected cost per unit would be approximately $1,500 US or 107,000 Indian rupees, with a payback period of approximately 5 years.
So in order to fund this project, we would rely primarily on grants, subsidies, and direct purchases from companies who are interested in the product. Depending on what the use is of the system, it would depend on the type of funding that we would use to purchase the product. And then the additional effects of adopting a system like this, it would affect equality. So it would provide autonomy for those who use the system, and they would rely less on the power grid. Health effects would improve. There would be more access to sanitized hot water, and it would also be in compliance with the 2015 UN Sustainability Development Goals.
Thank you. And are there any questions?
Two things. One, as you were looking at this, you talked about rainfall. India, it's a large subcontinent, and so the rainfall really varies, and you have the whole monsoon effect or lack thereof, depending on which year. So did you at least think about how you would handle that during monsoon season when there's effectively no sun in big chunks of it?
Yeah, and so with the system, it has the smart technology, so it can switch between, let's say there's no sun that day, it would rely more heavily on the grid power, and then on days when it's not raining, it would draw from the municipal water source. So either way, it would be providing its benefit, kind of one or the other.
And the great thing about this technology is that it's adaptable to other locations as well. And so even if you're not getting a lot of rainfall, this solar technology that heats your water is still saving a lot of electricity. So it doesn't, I mean, like we looked at India because it has heavy rainfall in certain areas and also heavy sun, but like this can be implemented in other non-OECD countries around the world.
Do you think during the monsoon you could capture water for use later when there is less waterfall? Is that something you considered?
Yeah, most definitely. The number of storage containers definitely kind of defines how much that they're able to store. But especially when it comes to reliance, like moving reliance away from the grid. Let's say for whatever reason the grid power were to be shut off or municipal water were to be shut off. The building now would have its own way to produce, maybe not as much, but you'd still have water, you'd still have hot water, which is really exciting when you're looking at, India has a lot of blackouts, for example, and if all of a sudden you don't have power, your residents could still have hot water, and if you're a building manager trying to attract people to your apartment complex, you can say, hey, you know, we have a reliance so that we can still have hot water, even though, you know, we have may have 8 blackout days a year. So.
And maybe if you're in a place that has like a lot of rainfall, then one of these tanks could be designated to holding rainwater during those seasons to make it more effective.
What went into the calculation of a $1,500 per unit cost?
Yeah, so our cost breakdown. We were ready for you. So basically this is our cost breakdown right here. We wanted to keep costs and technology as minimal as possible so that it could be as widely applied as possible. So for our smart technology, it all relies on a Raspberry Pi, which is basically a small computer that can control each of the aspects of the project. But for example, this material, the reflective material here, is just aluminum, and this is just double-walled insulated vacuum glass, and so it's all as low-tech as possible until you hit the smart technology, which we try to keep as possible by just utilizing Raspberry Pis.